Because, as we all know, taxation with representation has not been such a good idea either. Good morning, Todd, my engineer this morning. Good morning. I am so glad to be here. Those of you live streaming, www.wcab59.com. Good morning. Those of you that pick this up later on YouTube, they pick this up and broadcast it all over the world, Todd. I get phone calls from everywhere. Thank you so much for calling me. Now, if you need to reach me, my name is Gilbert Carmona. I'm an enrolled agent. An enrolled agent is a person enrolled with the IRS. It gives me permission to handle issues and talk to them so you don't have to. I can solve your tax problems, help with your financial planning, help with your retirement planning, help with your tax and estate planning. I just kind of do all kinds of planning all around. My telephone number is 828-289-9300. You can reach me via email at gilbert@gilberttalkstaxes.com. I have two offices. I have one here at 113 Whiteside Road, Rutherford 10. I have another one at 226 South Trade Street, the beautiful Art Deco building just off the historic downtown Tryon. But one phone call gets me at either place, 828-289-9300. We've had a busy week. This week has been busy. Tax season has been extended. Going to talk about that. Most of the states are on board with the extension. Going to talk about that. The IRS is saying, do not amend. I'll explain what they're talking about. And we're going to talk about basically just what's been happening with this $1.9 trillion pandemic relief package, the American Disaster Plan. I'm sorry, the American Rescue Plan. That is, Todd, that you totally didn't get that, did you? You did? Okay. You just chose to look at your phone and shake your head. The American Rescue Plan, which I've looked at it and I'm not sure what they're rescuing us from. It looks like more like they're throwing us into the fire than pulling us out of the fire. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. It really expands the tax code, and there's a lot of issues there, and it's poised to complicate an already messy filing season. I'm going to talk about that and what the laws mean. Now, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there, believe it or not, Todd. Just everywhere, doom and gloom. And I woke up this morning, as I wake up in the morning, and I ask the Lord, Jesus, what do you want me to share with your people? What word of encouragement do you have? Not just for the people, for me. Because I wake up and I need a word of encouragement. Because, and I'm going to get into all this in a minute, it looks great. Everybody's getting all this money. But, you can only turn the printing presses on for so long. And now the IRS basically has been tasked with not just collecting revenue, but now they're the ones dishing it out. Totally a reversal of their role and what their role is. And tax planning, all tax planning is pretty much just out the window right now. It's like we don't even know. We're having to look daily to see what's changed, what hasn't changed. So there's really a lot to be doom and gloom about. But, and I just could not get away from this. Are you going to sing a chorus of this with me, Todd, if I get started? You're not going to join me? Come on, Todd. You got a much better voice than I do. So what did Paul tell Timothy? 2 Timothy 1:12? He said, for this is why I am suffering as I do. Still, I am not ashamed. For I know whom, well, I'm reading out of the Amplified Bible. And this is why I am suffering as I do. Still, I am not ashamed. For I know him whom I have believed in. And I am persuaded that he is able to guard and keep that which I have entrusted. Well, that he is able to guard and keep that which has been entrusted to me and which I have committed to him until that day. Hold fast and follow the pattern of wholesome and sound teaching which you have heard from me in the faith and love which are for us in Jesus Christ. Guard and keep the precious and exceedingly adapted truth which has been entrusted to you by the help of the Holy Spirit who makes his home in us. So I just kept all morning, I just kept saying, You know, for I know whom I have believed in and am persuaded that he is able. And it's just, there's hope. We have hope. I don't care how bad this news looks. I don't care how doom and gloom. People have been sending me messages all week. Did you see the president fall down the stairs? Did you see the president trying to put a pen in his pocket? Did you see, I guess he couldn't find his pocket after signing some bill. He couldn't, he was trying to put the Crayola in his pocket and he couldn't do it, so he ended up putting it in his pants pocket. Then he fell down the steps on the airplane and this and that. And it just looks like we're a laughing stock to the world. But I thought, no, I am persuaded. I am persuaded. I'm going to read it again. This is why I am suffering as I do. Still, I am not ashamed, for I know him whom I have believed, and I am positively persuaded that he is able to guard and keep that which has been entrusted to me and which I have committed to him until that day. Hold fast. Follow the pattern of wholesome and sound teaching. I could just read this over and over again, but I won't. I won't. Guard and keep, I might, guard and keep the precious and exceedingly adapted truth which has been entrusted to you. And as Christians, as people who believe in God, people who believe in Jesus, we are not gonna give up our faith. We are not gonna give up our trust. I don't care how bad HR 1 looks or appears or whatever. I've been studying this a little bit. Do you know they've been trying to do gun control in this country since the Civil War? This isn't something new that just came out because, you know, I guess single fire flintlocks were like really dangerous, and they didn't, because, you know, you could reload them in like 2 minutes, and that was like a bad thing. It was the British would not let the colonists have arms. I mean, this goes back. This isn't anything new. This is nothing new, and we're just going to. But we trust God. God put us in this country. God put every one of you listening to me this morning where you are today. Ask him to help you. Ask him to lead you. Ask him to guide you. And that's what I have. That's just the overwhelming message that I have this morning, and that's all I can talk about. So I'm going to get into all this tax stuff and try to help everybody make sense of all of this. And but we're still going to keep our eyes on Jesus. Okay, let me start. Where do you want me to start, Todd? So the extension or the amendment? Let's start with the amendment. Okay, because that one's probably the most complicated. Let's get that out of the way. The IRS said, actually the IRS hasn't said anything. Congress made the law. The IRS is just enforcing it. So Congress passed a law. March 11th, the American Rescue Plan. Now there's actually a law that's part of this law. It's whatever, and it's because of the China virus, supposedly. All this is somehow connected to the China virus. Okay, so last year everybody was getting an enhanced unemployment benefit. The federal government was giving the states an additional $600 per week per person, along with whatever the state was giving you for unemployment, because so many people were unemployed and they were trying to make it up. So actually it was the first time in our history that you made more money sitting at home on unemployment than you did actually going out and getting a job. There were people that you couldn't get them out of their home, whether you had work for them or not, and everything was a safe, sterile environment. They weren't going back to work. So the federal government stepped up to the plate, put this $600 on the table, and there are people now that have these unemployment benefits that are fully taxable, federal and state. Okay, this is income. Okay, fully taxable. Unemployment benefits are taxable. For everybody that calls me up and says they're not, they are. In this situation, they have made an exemption for just this situation. The law they passed March 11th said that $10,200 of unemployment compensation is excluded from your taxable income for 2020. This isn't forever. This is just for 2020. Now, we're in the middle of tax season. March 11th. March 15th is the busiest day of tax season. It's not April 15th, believe it or not. It's March 15th, because March 15th is when all the partnerships and all the LLC S corps are due, and it kicks off the countdown to April 15th. So that day is just, and this year it fell on a Monday, which made it even busier for everybody. Okay, so now they decided on March 11th that for 2020, now I don't know how many tax returns have already been filed, 75 million, 80 million, 100 million. I don't have an exact number. It's a big number. It is a big number, and millions, tens of millions of tax returns are affected by this. Okay, they said that $10,200 of unemployment compensation, which is retroactive to 2020, is now not taxable. You can exclude it from your tax return. Okay, so that, depending on the tax bracket you're in, that's huge. That is a lot of money. Okay, so how do we do that for the tens of millions of tax returns that have already been filed? The IRS, Todd is shrugging his shoulders. Yeah, because it's my problem, not yours. Yes, Todd is shrugging. I already had people show up at my office, by the way, wanting to amend Todd.
I was kidding about that.
There were people showing up at my office. They want to amend. They want this money. How do we get this money? So normally, if I did your tax return, you go home and you find, oh no, I forgot to tell Gilbert this piece of information. You forget a form, or typically what happens is that people that have investments and get a 1099-R, that's your, typically if you had a distribution from your retirement plan, from your pension, your IRA, your 401k, whatever, SEP simple, anything, death benefit from an insurance company, anything, you're going to get this 1099-R form. And that's a very important form. It may, sometimes if it's just a death benefit from an insurance company, it's not taxable, but the insurance company has to report it. The IRS gets a copy of that notice, even though it has no tax implication on your tax return. It is reported to the IRS, and you could get a letter. You could get a letter later saying, oh, by the way, this isn't on there. And if the information is partial information where you have to fill in the blanks, like cost basis of an investment or something like that, you're definitely going to get a letter from the IRS. So there is no piece of information that is not important. People say, oh, I didn't think that was important. I said, okay, the envelope says important tax documents on it. Well, how would you not think this is important? I have this conversation all the time. It says tax documents. Give to your tax preparer is right on there. That's me. Why did you not? What? Oh, I didn't know. So you have this form, or you remember something, or something shows up on your doorstep, or you got the form, I did your tax return, and then a month later, this happened back in 2015, 16, when we had some law changes. People were getting a 1099-R that said corrected on the top. There's a box that says corrected, and there's a big check mark right there. It's corrected. That means the bank, financial company, insurance company, whatever, did something, then the law changed, had to go back and correct it. It may or may not affect your tax return. I've had it where it affects the tax return, where people owe more money or they're getting more money back. But it's you need to do something. Okay, so something like this happens, we amend your tax return. An amended tax return takes the IRS anywhere from 16, are you ready for this, Todd? 16 to 26 weeks to review. Okay, an amended return takes that long. In a normal tax season, when they're fully staffed and all their offices are open, it takes that long. So now the IRS is saying, do not amend your tax return for this $10,200 one-time 2020 tax year unemployment exclusion. They are going to somehow figure out a way. That came from Commissioner Chuck, by the way. He said, we're going to find a way to do this, which I'm really surprised. This guy has really shown he's really shown some spine in all of this. He's letting Congress know you're putting way too much on our plate. You're expecting us to do too much. So he's saying, do not amend. They're going to figure out a way to turn around, go through the tax returns that have been filed, and exclude that $10,200, recalculate your tax return, and mail you a refund or deposit a refund in your bank account. So what are the problems we're already seeing with that? People change bank accounts. People move. People that use refund products where checks are printed in the tax preparer's office. People that use those green cards, those green dot cards, they only intended for a one-time for their refund. We're seeing all kinds of problems already. That we're looking forward and seeing all kinds of problems. But it is what it is, and they're going to know it. So be aware, if you've already done your tax return, it's already been filed prior to last Monday or Tuesday, you've had it filed, you had unemployment benefits, you're getting a refund from the IRS. Now that brings up the states. Let's talk about the states. I don't know where they're all at with this, but North Carolina at this point is not on board with this. Now they may have, since I looked it up yesterday, they may have done that. But right now they are not on board with that. We've also got another issue with North Carolina. They are taxing PPP money, which is intended to be a tax-free grant from the federal government. It's tax-free at the federal level, but North Carolina said in a February 20-something letter, February 22nd letter, it's on their website, they said we are forgiven PPP, EIDL, any forgiven money is taxable income in North Carolina. Now that's just for the businesses that have forgiven debt. They're supposed to be meeting in June to vote on that, because right now they're not in session. They're going to be back in session. They are going to meet in June, and that is one of the bills that they are going to vote on. So we don't know yet what's going to happen there with them. I don't know. I don't know, because it's going to be a hard call. I would like to think they're going to ask for it to be forgiven, or it's not taxable, because it is a tax-free grant from the government. On the other hand, it's North Carolina we're talking about, and that is a lot of revenue. So this money, we have heard no guidance on, is North Carolina going to forgive this unemployment? We don't know. We just don't know. My guess is, I would say no. Let's just move on like they're not, and if they do, we'll all be pleasantly surprised. It's just they've already counted on that revenue. They're the ones that gave that money out. They know how much they gave out. That's already been baked in the cake as far as their budgets go and how much money is going to come in. Now you're going to ask them to give up $100 million or whatever their revenue on that is. I have no idea how much it is, but at 5.25% of taxable income, that is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So are they going to forgive it? I don't know. So what does that mean for you people out there listening? My software already made the change on Monday. As far as the unemployment goes on the federal side, it's already putting up to $10,200 as non-taxable, and it's taxing it at the state level, the North Carolina level. We're just saying, let's file these tax returns. Let's not let it sit. Why let your refund wait that you're getting? Let it, and if you owe, we can extend if you want, but don't forget, an extension is an extension to file, not an extension to pay. If you owe, you owe, and then later you'll just get a credit back. At this point, we just don't know what other advice to give you. But we are moving forward, and we are filing those tax returns. Okay, so I've talked about the unemployment compensation. So I'm going to get a phone call that's going to say, so can I make an appointment to come and amend? After I just said we're not going to amend. The IRS said, do not amend. Do not amend. They said, don't amend. Don't amend is what they said. So I don't know how many ways I can say it. I'm going to get that phone call. I just know I am. Let's take a break there and come back, and let's talk about extensions, since I was talking about extensions. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. I want to tell you about a little-known Rutherford County gem, Integrity Marble and Granite, located at 287 Shiloh Road in Forest City. They are the premier stone fabrication company in the western North Carolina region. They specialize in granite, marble, and natural stone, offering complete design and installation. Their design center and Kohler showroom features vanities, decorative accessories, bathroom, and kitchen fixtures. You do not have to go to Charlotte or Asheville for this kind of quality. We have it right here in Forest City. Stop in their showroom and browse their beautiful displays, or you can call 828-247-8801 for a free quote. You can also go to their website, www.integritymarblegranite.com, and look at the pictures and see samples of their available materials. Now, mention you heard it on Gilbert Talks Taxes, and they will give you $100 off any sink purchase. That's Integrity Marble and Granite.
Jesse James Railroad Express on your daily lunch list. He now has daily specials. Monday, get a hot dog with mustard, chili, and onions for 99 cents. Add slaw for 45 cents. Tuesday, the Carolina Express on a regular bun, any side, 16-ounce drink, $6.99 plus tax. Thursday, chicken salad croissant, any side with regular drink, $6.99 plus tax. Friday, 2 hot dogs anyway, bag of chips, 16-ounce drinks, $4.99 plus tax. A delicious lunch every day of the week. Only at Jesse James Railroad Express, open every day 11 a.m. until 4. Closed Wednesday and Sunday. Call 828-447-4644 for takeout orders. Jesse James is located 531 Railroad Avenue in Rutherford. All aboard! Jesse James Railroad Express is now serving French fries and onion rings.
All aboard! I don't know. I love saying that. He needs to open for breakfast. Jesse, open for breakfast again. I can't even talk. Open for breakfast, at least on a Saturday. We got nowhere to go now after the show. Todd's telling, come on, man. Get it open. Let's go. At least get the donuts back. And I got to drive all the way over to Forest City to get Davis Donuts. And we had them right here. We're back. WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. Okay, as you can tell, those of you that may be listening for the first time, we're just... This is just Saturday morning. We're just sitting around here talking about taxes. And I try to share stuff, but I don't want it to be so over people's heads. I've actually listened to some other people try to do this type of program, and I don't want to bore you with a bunch of tax law. I want to make it as simple as I can and explain how it's going to affect your everyday life. And there's just a lot of moving parts to this, and there's a lot of things that we just don't know. The IRS commissioner has come out and said, okay, Commissioner Chuck Reddick has come out and he has said to Congress, you have put a lot on our plate. You're expecting a lot of us. We're understaffed for this. We're making these changes. He was against extending the deadline. So the deadline has been extended to May 17th. Why May 17th? You may be asking yourself, Todd. Todd was just asking himself that. Why May 17th? Because May 15th is on a Saturday. And if it's on a Saturday, it's the next business day. Okay, sales tax for North Carolina was due today. Today's a Saturday, so it's Monday now that it's due. Monday, you have all day Monday to file that, and you'll be timely filed. So May 17th, tax season has been automatically extended. We don't need to do anything from April 15th to May 17th. Now, if you've already filed an extension, which many people have, because there's a whole group of people, I've talked about this before, there are people who there's just no way they're going to be ready by April 15th. A lot of my contractors, a lot of my landscape people, I've got a lot of roofers. These guys, they're out traveling, they're doing things, they're working, and they just extend, and they come in during the summer after their things have settled down a little bit. and they're able to get a hold of stuff. Right now they're busy. There's just no way they're going to be ready. Seasonal businesses like that, typically. So they've already extended. If you've already extended till October 15th, fine. Don't worry about it. You're good to go. If you haven't extended, you didn't think you're going to make that April 15th deadline, well, now it's May 17th. Now, this is an extension to file and an extension to pay. Because remember, normally an extension to file is not an extension to pay. What we usually do April 15th is I look at the information that I do have and I make a reasonable estimate, and I will tell you it'd be good if you could send XYZ amount of dollars with this extension to the IRS just to be safe. If you overpay, you'll get the money back. If you underpay, you're just going to owe more. But at least there is a penalty for not paying your taxes by April 15th. And it's a pretty hefty penalty. But for most people, we can gauge it pretty good based on prior year information. Surprisingly, most people's tax returns are pretty consistent, plus or minus, so we can be pretty accurate on that and do that. Okay, so this is really this one though is good. It's an extension to file and pay. Now, as of Monday, many states, I don't want to say all, many states are on board with this extension. North Carolina is. So North Carolina, it has extended. All the big states that I deal with that have state income tax, because I do a lot of tax returns in Florida, Tennessee, Texas, those states don't have state income tax, so it's a non-issue. But the states that I have to do with, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, most of these states, Illinois, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, just the states where I have a lot of people, those states are all on board right now. So the state has been extended also. Now, some states like Oklahoma that had that, and well, Texas doesn't have a state income tax, but they have other taxes. Texas has been declared a disaster area. Of course, they had that just freak ice storm. It was just a horrible thing that happened there. And fortunately, none of my customers there were affected by it. And one of them lives right outside of Dallas, so it was just wonderful. They're all okay. But Oklahoma had some winter storms. There were some storms up in Michigan and things. Now, in those areas, they've got a disaster extension just because of what's happened there locally. But most states are on board with this. So unlike the unemployment exclusion, which we're still waiting to hear, this we know this is good. So there's nothing to file. Is this moving the needle for anybody? I really don't think so. Other than the people that know that they owe, and they owe a lot of money, it's just giving them another 30 days to pull it together. But that's not the overwhelming amount of people. Most people that are getting a refund have already filed their tax return. I mean, the biggest bulk of the tax returns has already been filed. And those are the people that get child tax credit, earned income tax credit, whatever tax credit, or they wanted to get their $600 stimulus, their $1,400 stimulus, they wanted to be in the system. Those people, that's already water under the bridge. That's already gone. And I know there was a big dump of stimulus money Wednesday, Thursday. A lot of money went out. So that's pretty much it for those people. And now what we've got left is the other people. I said not to extend, and I didn't think the commissioner was going to do it. He's been against it since January. But I said 2 weeks ago, he's probably going to do it because he's going to have so much political pressure. Because all these congressmen want to go back to their districts and say, see what I did? I pushed back whatever. Because there's a core group of them that really pressured him to do this. And he said there's really no need to. There is no need to do this. But, you know, he's got to do what he's got to do. I mean, he's an employee. And they're his boss. They told him what to do, and he did it. I'm glad it's just May. Because what happens is the same people that procrastinate on April 15th are the ones that are going to procrastinate on May 17th. They're the ones that are going to call up May 12th and say, can you file an extension for me? It's the same people because they weren't ready in April. They're not going to be ready in May. Those people traditionally aren't ready till June, July, August. And that's just a core group of them. Okay, so you've got an automatic extension. If you owe, you've got an extra 30 days now to come up with the money. Todd, let's take our second break. Get back on time here. We're going to talk about relief package is going to complicate an already messy filing season. So I'm just going to hit it real quick. I don't want to dwell on it. There's a lot going on, and really a lot of it we just don't know yet. We're waiting for guidance on all of it. Okay, you're going to do this. Well, how are you going to do it? Because it's just a little the devil's in the details. And you would think Congress would know that because they're full of devils. But they don't. They don't seem to get it. So let's talk about that when we get back. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB, AM 590, FM 100.9.
Hi there, this is Kimberly, and I'm here to tell you about Peterson's Auto Service and Detail Shop. As a woman, I'm often apprehensive about taking my car to a dirty service garage. But you can be assured that Peterson's, located at 478 Butler Road, Forest City, has an incredibly clean and safe environment where you get high-quality service at a great price. Peterson's was voted Rutherford County's best auto service 3 years in a row. So take your car to Peterson's for brakes, oil change, North Carolina inspection, tire rotation, headlight lens restoration, scratch removal, and meticulous auto detailing. That's Peterson's at 478 Butler Road, Forest City. You can call him for an appointment at 245-8889.
This is Gilbert. If you owe the IRS past due taxes, don't call those toll-free national numbers. Local, affordable help is right here in Rutherford County. Stop garnishments, levies, and liens. Call Gilbert Carmona at 828-289-9300. All initial consultations are free. Call Gilbert, 828-289-9300.
We're back. Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB, AM 590, FM 100.9. Well, I'm going to deviate from the topic here a second. We were discussing during the break, and I've actually gotten some phone calls about this, Todd. We were talking about how do homeless people get this stimulus? And it's not just homeless people. What about people traditionally on the fringes of society? What about people that don't have bank accounts? What about people that don't have a stable address? They just don't. I mean, they might be living with relatives. They might be living with, or people that are, like, let's say, in group homes, people that have challenges in life, people that have mental and emotional challenges, people that are just are fighting these battles. They're entitled to this money too. Everything we talk about, or we tend to think about, conventional people. So we're talking about a family, husband, wife with 2.5 children that are going to be getting this $1,400, and it's going to go into their bank account. And that's the cookie cutter that Washington thinks everybody is. Because really, that cookie cutter is their voting block. And it's pretty much all they care about. So if you believe they care about anything else, you need to come by the office and let's have a talk. Because they don't care about you. That's the bottom line. They don't. They can say they do all they want. I'm sorry, I am not persuaded that this is the case. Just what I have seen. I don't mean to be cynical. I mean, actually, I'm very positive and I'm very upbeat about what's going on. But this is the case. Why do I say that? Because we have a large marginalized group in society. We brought up during the break homeless people. There are people that are homeless not by their choice. They're homeless. I was in California, and there's a waitress, there is, because she's still there. There's a waitress in California, and I'm sure there are millions of people like her in California. There's a waitress. She works for a pizzeria, and she makes over $100,000 a year. Yes, a waitress in California makes over $100,000 a year. The pizzeria owner said, my staff makes more money than I do. They take home more money than I do. Okay? She makes over $100,000 a year. She can't find a place to live. Not in anywhere where you would want to live, where she would want to live. Not in anywhere safe, in a place where she would raise a family. So her family, they live in a van. Now, granted, in California it's 80 degrees. They don't have to, or in Los Angeles. This is in Los Angeles specifically. They don't have to worry about freezing. They don't have to worry about extreme weather. They don't have to worry about heat and the fact that you're living in your van. But they're not the only ones. On the street where this van was, and I saw this, on the street where this van was, there were many other vans with people living in them. And these are not mentally ill, homeless people. These are not people that have challenges that don't allow them to get a more permanent place, an apartment or a house. They can't find a place. They have jobs. They are working people. They are functioning people. So we have this, people like this. So there are people who don't have bank accounts. Homeless people, how are they going to get the stimulus? How are they going to get it deposited to them? And who's helping them? I don't know. Most places that provided these services closed because of COVID. They didn't. They were we're working remotely. You can go online and we can help you. Okay, these people don't have any way to get online. Well, they can go to the library. Oh, they're closed. Well, they can go here. Well, they're closed too. So there's a disconnect somewhere, and it's a serious problem. And we talked about this. Prisoners are actually entitled to this. It's in the law. Prisoners are entitled to this $1,400. I don't know about the $1,200 or the $600, but I know they're entitled to this because it specifically said prisoners in the thing. So how do you get money to them? Many prisoners, you have to deposit the money into their account, and there's a fee to do it. I just know from personal experience with different family members and different things that people we've helped, clients we've helped, we've been involved with the prison ministry. To get them to deposit money into their account, there's a fee, and it's a pretty substantial fee in some states. I was really surprised. So the IRS is not just going to deposit that money because it's not automatic. It's not like a routing number and an account number, and boom, here's your check. It's got to be put in. The fees have to be taken out. You have to manually put in how it's being done, where it's coming from, who it's from. All this information has to be put in there for them to get their money. And if you're a family member and you prepare this tax return and then they sign it somehow, or you electronically file it and the money comes to you, that's technically illegal. The money's supposed to go to them in their bank account. So this raises all kinds of questions. There's all kinds of issues. So this is really, I just don't think this has been thought out at the level that it should have been thought out. But and again, I have no answers. I'm just saying these are the kinds of questions that this brings up. Now, the other question I keep getting, I'm just trying to see where to go. I looked at the clock, Todd. I shouldn't have looked at the clock. I've got 21 more minutes and about 51 minutes of information that I want to share with everybody. They passed this law. It's already been a messy tax filing season, so now they've extended it. It's been extended. It was Democrats' House and Ways and Means Committee that were calling for this extension. They've been saying it in February. We need to extend because people, for whatever reason, they felt like we need to extend. The commissioner was against it. The former commissioner, Kaskinian, remember him? Remember I used to talk about him all the time? He even had to weigh in on this. He had to give his opinion. He said extending the filing season to deal with the tax exemption for unemployment payments will run into the work necessary to deal with the monthly child tax credits. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of questions about the monthly child tax credits. And at this point, all I'm saying about that is that we don't know. There's supposed to be a portal. There's supposed to be a portal at irs.gov that you're going to be logging into. You're going to be creating an account. You're going to be logging into that account, and you're going to be uploading your information. Then you will be getting your monthly child tax credits that way, and you're going to be paid monthly. I'm not going to get into how much and all that right now because I want to see them first do this portal. My first thought when I heard about it is this pretty much what you've been hearing too, Todd. Todd and I talked during the week about this kind of stuff, and actually stops by the office to share information with me. I keep thinking about the Obamacare rollout. Remember where the calculators didn't work, and then it kept kicking you out, and you couldn't get insurance, even though that was the purpose of it, was to give you insurance, and it was quoting prices that were all messed up. So there's supposed to be, they wanted this done by June, and the commissioner pretty much told them no way. When is it going to happen? We don't know. But right now, that is the plan, and that is how you are going to get your child tax credits. Okay. There's the $1,400 stimulus, okay, unemployment benefits, okay, and I talked about the extended child tax credit. Well, I can give you the nutshell of it. They're allowing households to claim, households with children, okay, children 16 and under is traditionally the number, although that could be changed. Households with children to claim up to $3,600 for younger children, or $3,000 for children age 6 and older, regardless of earned income. Okay, so right now, EITC is earned income tax credit. You have to have earned income to get that. This is the child tax credit with no earned income. While the CTC child tax credit currently phases in with income, and only $1,400 can be refunded to low-income households, the American Rescue Plan allows the full credit for low-income households, which raises marginal tax rates on those filers as they are no longer provided the credit as income rises. So it doesn't matter what income, and you're going to get that money regardless of income, whether you have any or not. And you can't have too much income. You're not going to phase out. As such, it introduces a new disincentive to work. This actually, I was a little surprised when I read this that this would actually come from government sources, but it introduces a new disincentive to work for low income earners. So it doesn't matter if you have income or not, you're going to get the child tax credit. Throw that on top of unemployment benefits that, by the way, have been extended through the federal government's extended unemployment has been extended through September 16th because of the pandemic. September 16th. I'm surprised they didn't extend it till September 16th of next year, right before the elections. But I guess they can only stretch it so far. As the public health situation, the economy improves this spring at summers, they'll have the opportunity to reevaluate the effectiveness and the costs of these expanded benefits and determine whether this should be allowed to expire or otherwise be reformed. So this is not a permanent thing. Unemployment's been extended till September 16th, but this is just going to run for a couple of months, and they're going to see if they even roll it out. They're talking about a June, July rollout. So let's see what happens there. Todd, let's take our last break, and I'm going to come back and talk about what this all means to you with tax planning, what to do with your business, and just what I'm seeing is going to be the thing everybody asks me is, what do you think is going to happen to tax rates and interest rates and all these rates? And I've got opinions about all of it. So am I right or wrong? That's the question. Let's take a break. WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9.
As we get ready for this year's tax season, there's one thought on everyone's mind. Will Gilbert's hair look fabulous this year? Oh, yes, it will. How can I say that? Because I go to Robin Saunders at RSL Salon. Whether it's a good haircut, pedicure, or a manicure, you can count on RSL Salon. Call Robin at 828-289-9110 because everyone deserves to look fabulous. People come up to me and say, Gilbert, thank you for doing my tax return and thank you for getting me that big refund. Do you have any ideas what I can do with that refund? Oh, yes, I do. Take that refund right over to NC Tractor and Farm Supply, talk to Phil, get you a brand new shiny red Massey Ferguson. That's NC Tractor and Farm Supply, Railroad Avenue. You can call Phil at 828-429-5008. By the way, mention you heard it on Gilbert Talks Taxes. I'm hoping he'll give me a discount when I go buy my brand new shiny Massey Ferguson tractor.
We are back. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. Well, we got stuck in some quicksand there. It's just, I got to talk about these topics because these are the topics that are coming up. But we have more questions than we have answers right now. But we are thinking, Gilbert is thinking about these topics, and he's very, trying to find an answer. Just will anybody in Washington listen to us if we give them the answer? And the answer is don't spend so much money. But they don't seem to get it. If you need me, my email address, gilbert@gilberttalkstaxes.com. Again, I want to thank those of you live streaming this morning, www.wcab59.com. My office telephone number, I've had people call me and say, you don't give out your number enough. My telephone number is 828-289-9300. Yeah, I got a phone call that somebody actually had to call the studio to get my number. I'm glad you all had it here. 828-289-9300. That is my telephone number. Feel free to give me a call, and people do. Thank you very much for that. Washington doesn't want to hear my solution. My solution is stop spending money. Money is a fertilizer. Whatever you put it on, you're going to get more of. If you put money on homelessness, you get more homelessness. If you put money on a battle, you're battling drugs, whatever, the war on drugs. Did the war on drugs, did it do anything? Nothing. It made the problem worse. Why? Because when you try to kill a weed, you put Roundup on it, not nitrogen. You don't put fertilizer on weeds. You honey, I sprinkled that kudzu with Miracle Grow. Think it'll kill it? No, it's not going to kill it. They won't do what it takes. They don't seem to understand. Well, no, they do understand. They're just getting that money. They're just funneling that money for themselves. Is obviously what's going on, because otherwise it would be effective. You throwing money at these problems is not the answer. So they're going to keep doing it, and there's nothing we can tell them at some point how to stop it. But we can plan. You as an individual, we can do effective tax planning, and that's what I do. Now, a lot of our tax planning has changed because of these laws. But again, I woke up this morning, and I'm just very optimistic. And I want to encourage you in that, encourage you in the Lord, encourage you in being optimistic. Because I'm not stooping down to this level. I'm not. For those of you that know, I haven't watched mainstream media news since November, and I refuse to. None of them. I don't watch commentary type programs. I did, but I don't anymore, just because I don't want it to affect my program and what I share here. I really want to hear from God. I want to read my Bible and share with you what I have to share. So I don't want that to affect me, because it does affect you. What you hear affects you. Remember, be careful, little ears, what you hear, because your Father up above is looking down in love. I think Karen and I sang that one time on the air. Did you join me, Todd, in that rendition of that? No, you didn't? No. But you've got a good voice.
In the shower. Sing like an angel.
He sings like an angel in the shower. It says make a joyful noise. I used to care what I sound like. I don't anymore. I just want to praise God with my loud voice, as loud as I can get it, because, he gives me breath every day, and I'm grateful for that. But we are going to plan, and we're going to just move forward. Now, interest rates right now are ridiculously low. one credit union at your shares account, without naming that credit union, your shares account is paying 0.01%. The money market account is paying 0.02%. If it gets any worse, you're going to be giving them money to hold your money. So just, can you hold this for me? Here, I'll give you $50. That's what it's going to come down to, because it's not worth it. Oh, but it's insured. Against what? I mean, it's insured. So our interest rate's going to go up. Well, they can't go down anymore. So we see these things that are happening. We've got an incredible deficit. It's at 29. What is the new deficit there, Todd? Todd's got his finger on the pulse of Mr. Google. Ask Mr. Google there what is the national, the deficit. The national debt and the deficit are two different things. What's the deficit? 29 trillion? But this is the thing. We're not changing our plans. We change our plans as the law changes to accommodate law. So we have new law changes. And there actually are opportunities for financial planning. There are opportunities for tax planning in this. It's not all doom and gloom. It's a lot of unknowns. But as things become known and as we move through them, so I'm not encouraging anybody to take their money and bury it in the backyard. On the contrary, this is a time for really unprecedented opportunity. There's always opportunities in every problem. So, and these are problems just to be overcome. And if there's one thing Americans do very well, it's overcome problems. I mean, we hit these things head on. Sometimes we hit them a little too hard head on, but we hit them head on. What is the budget deficit right now in Washington? Is it 29 trillion? I think we've put 3 trillion. We spent 5 trillion. We put $5 trillion of debt in 1 year. So
2021 deficit so far.
2021 deficit so far. 1.047, and that's just $1 trillion, and that's just this year. Do you remember when I did a show a couple of years ago, and I talked about when our congressman from Illinois, Representative Dirksen, said on the floor, and he said this back in the 80s, he said $1 billion here and $1 billion there, and pretty soon you're talking about real money. Yeah. And I said the day's going to come at the rate we're going where you're going to be saying $1 trillion here and $1 trillion there, and pretty soon you're talking about real money. We're there. And after $1 trillion, you've got a quintillion and a septillion, and you've got all these other, just keep putting zeros behind them. But we as individuals, we can't control any of that. But we as individuals can control what we do. We can control what we do with our money. We can control what we do with our businesses. And we can, and we still do have control to do that. So there's a lot of tax opportunities here. There's a lot of investment opportunities. I really just want to encourage people. So last Monday, March 15th, was the deadline for filing partnerships and S corps. And if you filed an extension, you have now till September. Okay, so you've got your K-1. You should have gotten your K-1 by March 15th from your whoever prepared those tax returns. If they filed an extension, of course, then you're just going to have to wait for that K-1 to come. And that's another reason why some people for April 15th have to file extensions. You're going to give me what do we got left? 5 minutes? Okay, 5 minutes. So that's why some people will file extensions, because their partnership tax return wasn't ready. Their S corp partnership wasn't ready. So we have to issue those K-1s to the people, and then the people can take those to finalize their personal tax returns. And then as we move into the summer filing season, we've got not-for-profits, and that is your churches and your corporation, your corporate not-for-profit organizations. Those tax returns are going to be due May 15th. and that includes your homeowner associations. That includes your pretty much anything that falls under that not-for-profit status. Those are all going to be due May 15th. As far as we know, those have not been extended. That's still going to be a hard May 15th. Again, that's the 17th because it's on a Monday. But this is a time for you to, and I'm going to get back into this next week. I kind of put it on hold because we've had a lot going on. So I didn't talk about it for the last couple of weeks, but next week I'm going to get back into estate planning. I'm going to get back into estate planning opportunities to set up your trust, to set up your, and again, I'm not giving trust advice. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not going to do that, but I want to give you the nutshell of what these things are and how they fit into a financial plan. Okay, and I do have a securities licenses. I do have a 6, a 63, and a 65, and that allows me to talk to you about financial planning, okay, and as a financial planner. And if you remember, I was voted Rutherford County's best financial planner last year, so I've got that to fall back on. So I had to bring that up in there somewhere, Todd. You know, I have to bring that up. Best of Rutherford County, actually, by the Daily Courier. Yes. So there are opportunities there. This isn't changing that. Nothing that's happening with this law is going to change that. We're concerned about some things in the estate. When we talk about estate planning, we're concerned about what could happen with the inheritance tax. Right now, estates are not taxable up to $10 million. It was $5 million, $5,100,000 and something and change. And again, remember, for people that think that's a lot of money and they say, well, my estate will never be worth that, don't be so sure that your estate would never be worth that. With rising real estate prices, rising home prices, and double-digit interest rate growth on retirement plans, people are finding their estates are worth a lot more than they ever thought they'd be worth. My Uncle Marvin story about Uncle Marvin being worth $1.3 million when nobody thought he had any money at all. And that was just a man right here in the county, okay, who worked at a mill. Worked at a mill his whole life and never spent any money, but that's beside the point. But $1.3 million. So it's out there. So it got raised to $5 million. Estates got raised. I'm sorry, they were at $5.1 million. They got raised to $10 million. Now there is a push in Congress to reduce that. I know that in the 2016 election, the Democrats wanted to get it down to, one of their platforms was they were going to get it down to $1 million. That would have affected a lot of people. So how does that change your planning? It just does, but you need a plan to begin with before we can start making these corrections. So I'm going to get back into that next week. I'm going to talk about the executor's role. I talked about that quite a bit. I'm going to get back into that. The executor's role, the trustee, executor, exetrix, fiduciary. These tend to be interchangeable titles. It's the person responsible after somebody has died. But you need to have all this done before to know who's going to have what role and how they're going to do it. So I'm going to get into some planning and just some moving forward. And then what do you do with these 401k plans? What do you do with these estate plans? What do you do with IRAs after the person has passed away? And you, the person that has these things and as you're getting older, you really need to have this stuff worked out on paper. So the person assuming that role of fiduciary, of handling your estate and making sure that the things you want get done so they're clear on it. I had a client yesterday, and he's doing all the right things. I was very, very impressed with him. He was doing all the right things, and I said, well, do these people know that you've named them your beneficiaries and your trustees? And he said, well, one knows, a couple don't, because different people have different roles. I said, no, you need to have a family meeting, pull everybody together. You can do it at my office if you want. I'm fine with that. And we need to sit everybody down, and you need to tell everybody this is what's going to happen when I die right now. And again, things can change because you're going to go through all this planning to do that. So That's what I'm going to talk about next week, and we're going to be positive, and we are still moving forward. And I'm going to say it one more time, Todd. 2 Timothy 1:12. This is why I am suffering as I do. Still, I am not ashamed, for I know him whom I have believed, and I am persuaded he is able to keep that which I have entrusted unto him till that day. I'll be back next Saturday. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 5.